And so many of those people are the same, and it's just depressing, really depressing. Just to see how many people are in denial about the kind of people that they really are. Oh, just to see how many of those people are just identical to each other. It's like, dude, dude, God's just not like that. It's just not. I remember I was God help me out with this whole coherent thought thing. There's so many things God just protected me from without me even knowing what was going on. And one of them was Christians. Almost ended up going to a super Christian college. That fortunately that just didn't happen. I found out later just how much different I would have been if I had just tried to go that route. And man, it sucks to see people suppress themselves because they think that's what God wants, because that's how people in church expect them to be, like one another. All the zebras have the same stripes. And that's not right at all. And I was just, man, there's been so much going through my head the past, well, especially the past year, the past month, the past few weeks, today. It's just listening to Christians talk, and they all talk the same. They'll talk about God the same. That's just not so. God's a lot bigger than that. I hate seeing people with a million questions and acting like they're entitled to all the answers. That's just pride. How much of God do you expect to know? God, by definition, is a whole lot bigger than your understanding. So we all ought to do ourselves a favor and just get over ourselves, learn how to let some things slide. We're not going to know everything. I remember, sometimes God just smacks me in the mouth with truth, just out of nowhere. I remember, I was just minding my own business, just praying, just chatting with God, whatever. And then all of a sudden, God's like, "Hey, you need to change your diet. You need to change your lifestyle, what you eat. Otherwise, you're going to get cancer." What? What? That's not God. I rebuke you, or whatever it is those people say. It was God watching out for me. So, I get over the initial shock. It's like, oh, God, how do I change this? I don't want cancer. What do I do? Say, less sugars, less fats, more salads, alkalize your diet. God, that salad tastes like crap. You want cancer or not? So, we're getting there. I'm getting a bunch of messages from Bernard. But you know how many people just don't think God's like that? Can't handle God talking like that. That don't know God like that. Why not? what what good is going to church if they don't know how to hear God? What's church doing for them? Making them feel better about themselves? Ah, I mentioned when we were up in Washington, we got stuck going to a friend's church, and it was just one of those contemporary ones, just mostly feel good. We don't know what we're doing. We believe in the God of the Bible, but we don't know how to hear him, and we're not sure if he even talks to us. But here's how we think you should live. And there's just people with no hope. No hope. What's the point of being alive if you got no hope? I can understand being careful and not wanting to run off in the wrong direction. But you can't read the Bible with an impartial perspective and tell me that God doesn't talk to people, that God's not involved. I was going through just every once in a while. It's just kind of a good pick me up to read some of the banter between me and God. Every once in a while, just if I know it's going to be a big one, I write it down. That's how I like to roll. And it was talking about the uniqueness, God having just taking joy, taking pride in developing people, in putting into them different things, unique things, traits, and just things that set them apart from everyone else. And God's like, you think that's not a slap in the face to me? When these people just take what I've given them, the things that they know can give them life, and they just suppress it because they think that's what I want, because they think that's how they're supposed to get closer to me. I've said before that it's not my job to get on here and teach. You can look several different places for some prime teaching. And then you can look at those people's churches, the people that they're teaching, observe the church, get to know some of the people, and realize it's not the teaching that's doing any good. It's the application of it. There's so many people that sit there just amazing stuff that still just suck. They're just awful people. Selfish, self-centered, self-absorbed, insecure, playing the game because they think that's what's supposed to happen. Treating church like a social network. Like they share a church with these people, so these people are just obligated to do me favors. I knew a chick. she got an apartment on the top floor of this complex because it was cheaper, and just guilted church people into helping her move. And that was it. Just because she was entitled to it as a Christian. Yeah. Okay. Those kind of people are the ones that forfeit a real opportunity to hear God a whole lot better, to sharpen themselves, their own relationship with God. Those are the people that are full of crap. You see somebody that doesn't have a focus on serving the way Jesus said. If you're going to put on a feast or festival, what are you doing inviting people that can pay you back? They're just going to reciprocate what you're doing for them. Where's your heart at? You go bring in the hobos, homeless, the poor, the people that can't do anything back. You feed them. That's something I know I don't do enough of, but I try and make up for it when I can. Even if I'm not as proactive as I could be about it. And that, oh, crap. There's a lot of people that just develop cliques in church, and then they use that as leverage, and they just somehow build off of each other. You know what I'm talking about? These people just feed off each other and approve each other like they're all doing something right because nobody in the group's telling them they're doing anything wrong. They got a long fall. Very long fall. But there is power in that. People don't want to be alone. A lot of people within religious organizations use that to their advantage. That's just how it is. And those cliques use people. I try and warn the ones that I feel like will listen to me, and then the rest, just got to watch them get chewed up and spat out. Because that's how God is. Yeah. A lot of us got so many safety nets in the way we can't even find God when we need him until we hit rock bottom, until we test all these safety nets, find out they suck to begin with. They were all just an illusion, that we really got nothing but God. And that is where God can start building something inside of you. That's where God's really got something to work with. And we realize this person can come and go, that person can come and go. My possessions, my passions can all just leave. I know. I've still got God. But a lot of us are too proud or too scared to really relationship to the test. We're so focused on being social, on having a social safety net within the church. Pray for me for blah blah blah, and find God first. A lot of people find God just from finally breaking. Now, that's one thing that do that. To be honest, that was my biggest saving grace. There was a lot of things I lost, but I didn't want to lose my what I thought was God. As scared as I was that it wasn't God, I didn't want to lose what I thought was God, even when that meant not adjusting my own self. When I met up with people from the church, people that I thought I could be friends with, people I thought we could mutually benefit each other with friendship, build off of each other, they They were just looking for more people to approve of who they are. And by then, God had mercy on me in the long run by letting me send myself through the ringer early on. Started trying to make a place with this clique or with that clique. I just didn't fit anywhere. Anywhere. And it did, man. It hurt so bad at first. Just feeling lonely, feeling lost, feeling like I had no place. But I knew God was there with me. I always kept my ear to the ground with God. I guess that's how I've heard things like change your diet, or things like big things are going to happen in a week, and then a week later I get fired. But it hurt to see, to keep trying to correct me when I keep going to God, and God would keep validating me or exonerating me just between me and him, not making a point of making sure all these people knew they were wrong and I was right. If that's the priority, you got to check yourself. But there's a, if you got a heart for God, you want the things that he wants, but you're not sure how to really appropriate that, how to develop that through and through in your own life. Folks like you can already hear God. You just don't got the confidence to realize it's him. And that's a better place to be than just running off, assuming everything you hear is God. A lot of people get shipwrecked that way too. There's I just like how I got to know Pam and Bernard. Like we were acquaintances. We sort of knew each other, and then they got married. They went on their honeymoon, whatever. Got back into town, then saw them at church. And most of the time with people at church, I just I'm gonna say, I'm gonna represent myself, whether it's awkward or not. So I just went up to Pam after they'd been in town. It was just kind of mulling around, had some free time at church between services or something. And walk up to Pam. I was like, "Hey, you guys still married?" And then she got so tickled by that. And then we've just been developing our friendship ever since. That kind of uniqueness. Obviously, not everybody's going to say the same thing to everybody. Let's not even fool ourselves like that. But everybody does have a piece of the puzzle for God. So let's not all just act like we're supposed to act like each other. Because then, who defines what we're supposed to act like? The pastor? Who defines what he's supposed to act like? His interpretation of God? The things that he reads? His spiritual influences, which are all just entirely intellectual? People that have almost no spiritual relationship with God, those are the ones defining the guy that we're trying to model ourselves after? Really? You got this weird pastor mentored worship phenomenon. Like we're all supposed to act like our pastor, even if he's the best guy in the world. He's got good attributes, he's got bad attributes. And he's got attributes that just have no real pertinence to the kind of person I want to be. So, what should I be looking at? This person? Nah. If you're not sure what you want to be looking at, read the Gospels. Read the Gospels. Read the Gospels. Maybe read Acts a couple times in there too. It's Jesus that we're supposed to look like. And Jesus he had a spine. I always like that about Jesus. You just sit down with church people and tell them how it is, and tell them how much they suck over dinner that they're hosting for him. And but anybody tries to do that now, they need to walk in more love. They need to focus on unity and not division. Those people need to realize, the people that talk about that suppress truth, confrontational truth in the name of love, they need to get a better idea who Jesus is. Jesus embodied division. You either saw him, well, no, you definitely saw him, and you either went along with him or you didn't. Like, look what happened after he fed the 5,000. There's just this whole slew of people just following after him, and he tries to escape them, and then they're like, hey, we like what you're doing here. He's like, dude, you just follow me for another freebie. What do you want? And then he just starts getting into this doctrinal debate with them. And then he goes from talking about food tangible to food spiritual without even really pointing anything out to all these people that are just dense as rocks. And then they start assuming he's a cannibal. Like, they have to eat Jesus if we want to know God. And then many of his disciples went away and walked with him no longer. To the point where, because obviously he had probably thousands of disciples, not just the 12. Like, I used to think Jesus was homeless because I think it was Matthew. I'd read the passage. There was a scribe came up to him and he's like, teacher, I'll follow you wherever you go. And what Jesus said, I used to think that meant he just didn't have a house. He was homeless. And I thought that was part of the sacrifice for following God. I didn't realize Jesus was like, yeah, I know you'll follow me wherever you go. Birds can go up, foxes can go down, but I can't get away from you people, no matter how hard I try. There's a comfort in just following your convictions, especially when you make sure you're keeping your ear to the ground with God. You're always keeping yourself in check with him. You're not sure what you're doing? Go check with God every 5 minutes if you need to, every 3 minutes, every 30 seconds if you need to. God, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to step out and do the wrong thing. I don't want to just move farther away from you. Is what I'm doing okay? I don't know what to do. Help me out with this. Where's the shame in that? Your own pride? You realize well, yeah. Death's a hard thing to deal with because you realize you're not as in control as you thought. All the denial you got yourself comfortable in, what good's that going to do you when you have to face facts? There's a lot of people that just sit in their living room and scream judgment about the world and about how people need to do things. about how this should be done and that should be done, and they're doing everything wrong. They're stupid. They never get their hands dirty. It's been so long since they experienced life. They've got such a skewed perspective. It's just poisoned them. If you think reality is not going to come knock them square on the head, just me personally, there's a few people I am excited about seeing that happen. And that that is not the godly part of me. Getting excited about seeing some of these people finally be put in their place for as much harm, damage they've caused people, especially thinking they did it in the name of God. It's funny how people that really love God, not just talk themselves up about how much they love God, and then you realize they got nothing going for them. The people that can live it, people that prove it with their lifestyle, with their decisions, with their actions, how much they have in common with people that do the same. I mean, obviously, duh. But look at it from like two different kinds of lifestyles. People have a heart for God. They learn the same things about God, the same principles, the same approach, the same peace and comfort with the individuality that they have. But it is going to be about finding the end of ourselves first. All these safety nets we've spent all our lives putting up in case this goes wrong or that goes wrong. God's on the other side of all of them. It's as simple as that. You got to find out that your safety nets are garbage compared to God, compared to who He is, what He can do, and what He wants to do with you and in you and for you and through you. And that means seeing stuff that we've invested our lives in sometimes just going up in smoke. Thoughts we've had, things we'd been taught that we just never really knew to question. We didn't really think they were right or wrong. That was just how it was when we were young and impressionable. Oh, to be young again. But God is on the other side of the safety nets. There's no two ways about that. And He is right there encouraging you to take that leap, to just trust Him. I mean, what's going to do a better job of keeping you safe than God? You say you love God, say you trust God, say you believe in God, and you're still not challenging yourself. You're still trying to hide from God, from the harsh truths that He has for you to take and implement into your life so you can make these adjustments. You don't love God. If you did, you'd get over yourself. Well, this has been fun and all. Just you keep that humility between you and God, that willingness to be wrong between you and God, the acceptance that that you probably are wrong between you and God, even if you let pride rise up everywhere else, except between you and God. That's the biggest thing. That's the bridge you don't want to burn. It's okay to hurt then, to let God be the one to put his hand on your shoulder, put his arms around you, tell you it's going to be fine. So what if this person left? So what if that person died? You still got me. That's what God's about. So, yeah, we've been keeping them shorter lately. Huh. Hope you guys are all well. Love to all of you and peace.